Christensen, who's a certified diabetes educator. She asked me to introduce, while you were waiting, this matching game that is with you at your seat. So you match one thing on the right with something on the left, and do they usually just connect it? Maybe draw a line. Or draw a line, or put a number next to the so it's the one that says taking the stairs, 5-story building 2 times a day will, and then you have a choice of options on the right, like gives fuel to your muscles as you lose weight. This looks like a very interesting matching game that I might not win myself, but maybe there are prizes. I don't know. So, and then while you're looking over that, do they have to finish this before you start speaking?
Maybe start working on it.
Okay, so start working on it. And I'll just take a minute while I have your attention to introduce Mary Christensen. She is a registered nurse as well as a certified diabetes educator. She has worked at Stanford for 17 years, so that is a long tenure. Yay, Mary. And she has taken care of thousands of patients with type 2 diabetes. Moreover, she is also a population health nurse. So she looks at all of the patient data of all of the patients at Stanford and is able to manage on a population level, making sure that all of our patients have appropriate hemoglobin A1C levels and blood pressures and cholesterols. So she really affects thousands of lives every day. So thank you for your service, Ms. Christensen, for that. And would you like to start now or give it a few moments? I think while everybody is sort of, we have their attention, we should maybe go ahead and get started. And please join me in giving her a warm welcome. Thank you.
It's really a delight to be here. I see some familiar faces. So it's fun to see some friends and meet some new ones. And let's see. Let's definitely get back to the game. If you want to look at some of those questions, the column on the left, I think you're trying to match to finish the statement with options from the right, and we'll go over those answers at the end and see if we have some winners and give out some prizes. For January, we are looking at setting SMART goals. So the beginning of the year is a pretty common time, right, for people.
Oh yeah, you can click on that.
All right, very good. So as we go through the slides, we are talking about goal setting. So I'm hoping to give you some tools and just some things to think about, because as we start the new year, many people are thinking about setting health goals. And I know that US study participants are already mindful of that. So you might even keep in mind, some of you who are going to the gym, some of the decisions you made about what your goals were around exercise, in addition to what the study requires. So for tonight, I want to be sure that by the end of our time together that you can state the purpose for setting a SMART goal, define what is a SMART goal, and list the 6 questions that will help you to answer or kind of fill out what it is it takes to actually write or create a SMART goal that you can follow and have success in. And then at the end, maybe just give 3 examples of a SMART goal. So you might be working with people at your table, or just going over it on your own. So when we talk about SMART goals, we are not talking about setting a goal to run a marathon next week or to lose 50 pounds by February 1st. It's really about very small steps of change. And the smaller the steps, sometimes the greater the success, right? So if we give ourselves small things changes we can make that are attainable, and we experience success in that, then it's a win-win. Even if it's a very small step, we are creating and laying down a new pattern, a new behavior pattern. And we're changing some of those neural pathways too to take new steps. So the greatest success comes from what's important to you, the patient or the participant. And with that in mind, as we talk about this concept of setting goals, it really has to be what's a goal that's going to work for you? What is it with your schedule and your lifestyle and the foods you like to eat, which might be different than what your neighbor is used to eating? So the importance and purpose of setting a goal is making or setting those goals based on reasons why that would be important to you and how that's going to fit into your life. So let's move forward. And I like this slide, probably just because it has some color in it. It is an acronym, the word SMART. When we talk about setting a SMART goal, it's an acronym. And we will look at each of those, what each of those letters represent. But if you think to yourself, if I were to ask you the question, what would you like to do this week? Not even 2019, but just this week, the next 7 days. What would you like to do to be healthy, more healthy this week? Anybody? Just a quick, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Exercise.
Exercise. Excellent. Thank you. So that's a great goal, right? Getting exercise. But is it specific? What kind of exercise? What do you like to do?
Go for swimming 3 hours every day and go for group exercise 25 times hours a week.
Something like that. Okay.
And work on the gym machines, for example. Training machines.
Yeah. So you're taking us much closer to what is now becoming more of a SMART goal. Exercise is a perfect example, and really you gave me the answer I wanted, because oftentimes we start out pretty general, pretty nebulous, exercise, right? But as we start looking at what is a SMART goal, it's specific, it's measurable. So swimming is more specific than just general exercise. Yes, sir.
SMART goal, A1C 6.5.
Okay, we'll come back to that. That's a good one. That's a great idea. So we have gone from exercise to swimming. How many hours a week? How many times?
3 hours every day.
3 hours. 3 hours, not just a week, but every day. So now we're down to the daily level. And then he added group exercise. So we'll come back to that. But just sticking with that idea of swimming, he's actually being very specific. It is measurable because he would be able to time himself or calculate what time did I arrive to the pool. If it's noon and I get out at 3, then I've achieved my 3 hours. How is he going to document that? Maybe he has a little check on his calendar at home or something on his smartphone that says, hey, check box for swimming from the time frame 12 to 3. Is it attainable? How many people in here have 3 hours a day to swim? I'm a swimmer. I wish I had 3 hours a day. I am a fish. I love to be in the water. So, gosh, if that works for his life, boy, he's golden. That's fantastic, right? It might not work for me. So I caught a little bit of a cold over the holiday. I still have a lingering cough. So the last time I was in the pool was actually Saturday the 22nd of December. So normally I would like to be in the pool at least 3 times a week, right? Swimming a certain distance. And then relevant. How relevant is that for your life?
It's very relevant. I don't get out of swimming pool till I lose at least 1 pound. So it takes 3 hours, I spend 3 hours.
One what?
Lose 1 pound that day.
Wow.
So I take my weight before getting into swimming pool and keep checking every 1 hour.
Wow.
And till I lose at least 1 pound, then I don't jump out.
Serious goal setter. Okay, way to go. And then timely. So he has a time frame, 3 hours. The next time frame is day, each day. And we'll go from there. So the reason why time, like time bound or timely or some sort of time element is so that it increases the ability to measure that goal. Because we want to make sure that the goal is more specific than just exercise, that it's measurable and either attainable or achievable. So you have to weigh the factors in your own life and your own schedule. And is it realistic? Is there a time frame attached to that goal? So the 6 questions that you can ask when framing or creating your own SMART goal are some of what I call investigatory questions. Does anyone know what you call this? You know how you can ask a question and it's like a yes-no question, which is a kind of a closed-ended question? These are considered open-ended questions. And what do you call those? Like I call them investigatory words. I don't know. Because if you ask someone, did you have a good day? It's either yes or no. Gosh, if you want to hear more, you might have to say, how was your day and what did you do? What was your favorite part? What was your highlight? So we're going to get more information out of ourselves, and we're going to go from exercise to something much more specific. And you'll see these questions in different forms throughout this presentation, and you will also now, thanks to Alejandro and Lita's team, we have a worksheet for you. So at some point tonight, I'll give you that worksheet and you can create your own SMART goal, and I'd love to hear back from some of you about what that is. In fact, do you guys want to pass those out? We can just start passing them down the road. When you answer the 6 questions, you are going to have a much more robust goal statement. So we again go from very general to something that is filled out with definition. And again, it's personal to you, and it's personal to you because it answers the question, what's important to you? Why do you care about being healthy in 2019? Why would you care about eating differently or getting more exercise or checking your glucose levels or going to the gym as part of the study? So the example here is that someone is choosing to check their blood glucose. When they wake up, it's that morning fasting number. They're going to do it at home. That's where all their equipment is. Likely that's where most of your glucose monitoring equipment is as well. And maybe this person is new to diabetes. Maybe it's a newer diagnosis, or they just are needle averse. They don't really want to see that needle every day, so they're going to make a strong commitment to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And they're going to try it for the next 2 weeks, and it sounds like probably reassess. And then why are they doing it? So again, answering these questions not only composes or creates that SMART phrase statement for you, which you can follow and measure your success, but it also harkens back to, when you answer the question why, it also harkens back to why is it important? Why is it important to my life? Why am I choosing to make small steps of change that will build upon week after week lifestyle changes or practices that will then result in an overall larger goal? So in order to lose 10 pounds, there could be 200 SMART goals or decisions that are made as a part of those small steps that will lead, me to losing 10 pounds or whatever. So this slide is nice because if you haven't already thought of some of those areas in which you could set a goal for this month or the coming year as part of your health plan, it gives several examples. Exercise is pretty common, right? That was our first kind of shout out. So thanks for that. Also, something around meals or diet or the way we eat. Maybe it's just snacking. Maybe you will choose to write a SMART goal on healthy snacking. And that might include brainstorming 10 ideas of new snacks. Maybe it's based on carbohydrates or calories or adding fresh vegetables or fresh fruit. Medication, sometimes we aren't as consistent as at taking or remaining kind of consistent with our regimen as we would like to be. Maybe there's something new that we need to practice or try out around taking medications. Weight loss, meal planning, we talked about that. Maybe eating out less and cooking in more. On your quiz sheet, there's a couple references to cooking at home and why that might be helpful or beneficial. This slide also it's a fun one, and I just want you to kind of take a look at it. These fun, colorful little guys are working their way up the stairs. It's not always something we think about. How often, when was the last time you asked yourself, how ready are you for this change? Maybe within the last month, I'm kind of trying to think about it. I might be on one of the middle stairs, but from the bottom, the little guy who's just kind of like, I won't do it. And also, I was going to add this. I want to have a little conversation about this next one. I can't do it. Actually, I can't believe that didn't come out of my mouth because that's not part of my vocabulary. But as part of this teaching and this slide, there's a lot of things that come out of our mouth that is just negative. It's called negative talk. Kind of hopeless sounding, very defeating. I would really encourage you, I would love to encourage you to think about changing some of those statements into positive self-talk. So when you either hear yourself say, oh, I'm so clumsy, or I'll never achieve, blank, to catch yourself, or if you hear someone else say it, catch that and just be aware, become more aware, because if we can catch ourselves and stop ourselves and maybe start changing, the next step up. Well, maybe I feel like right now I can't lose 10 pounds, but I really want to. What would that look like if I just wanted to? And then what would be the next step? If I really want to, how? How can I make that next step? And move on up the stairway. You know what? If it involves eating non-starchy vegetables, I'll give it a try. I'm a fan of carrots and other cruciferous vegetables. Well, carrots aren't, but there's some fun things out there. And just working your way to the top of the stairs. So I think really the point is it's not something that we think about often, or at least not in that much detail. It's basically just kind of a self-assessment of readiness. And that is actually another question on one of the slides that is basically asking, how ready are you? How ready do you feel about taking that next step? But then look at the guy's plump, right? Dancing, woo-hoo! Yeah. So lots of small steps, lots of courage, maybe some tough days, some hard knocks. And again, this is where some of those questions come in. Again, from the beginning when we talked about what's the purpose of SMART goals. It's really answering how important is this for you? How important is it to you to make this change, whatever this change is? Again, just small steps of change. And then asking yourself, how confident am I that I can make this change? I've set a SMART goal. How confident am I? So when we look at that grid up at the top, that scale, from 1 to 10 is a likelihood scale. So how likely are you to be successful at the goal that you set? And if it's a number 1, and it's not at all likely that you will achieve that goal, let's just stop right there and maybe set a new goal or adjust that goal. If the goal is, I will walk 1 hour every day, Do you even have 1 hour every day extra in your schedule? And if you don't, let's talk about the days you do have 1 hour that you could walk. And where would you like to walk? Maybe you could do 30 minutes a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and 60 minutes on Saturdays and Sundays. So we have to kind of look at it. But another fun way to use that scale is, somewhere in the middle. So I'm somewhat confident. Number 8, you're getting very, very sure. And number 10, absolutely, just without a doubt, I'm gonna blow through this goal, and by the end of 7 days, I'm gonna build on that goal. Again, small step, but once I achieve success, I'm gonna go forward. So, if I was having a chat with you, Sharon, I'm here. So, if you set a goal, and maybe your goal is to only eat ice cream, how confident, Sharon, how confident are you that you can meet that goal of eating ice cream? For me, totally confident. Okay, maybe it's not an ice cream. I am. Okay, learning how to back off a little bit. Very good, very good. Okay, we need an example where somebody is somewhat confident. Anyone? Yes, in the back.
How many times do you want to
I was just, how do we rephrase this? Maybe we should go with 2 vegetables instead of ice cream. How about, do you want to take the ice cream one? I was going to say, just eat ice cream once a week. Okay. What's a harder one? Who has an example of a more difficult goal? In the way back. Oh. What? Bread. Okay. So, how many times are you eating bread right now? How many? Like every day, 3 days, 5 days? Okay. So, let's say you set a goal to eat bread only on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, still just a skinny slice. How confident are you? How likely is it that you would be able to achieve that goal? Somewhat confident. Okay. So if we're having this conversation, what's your name? Ingrid. So if Ingrid and I are discussing her goal, and we're trying to get her to the place of setting something that will really work for her, I would then be asking her, so how confident are you that you can achieve that? She tells me, somewhat confident. I'm at about a 5. Then I can ask her, what would it take to get to an 8? What? Discipline. And how would discipline be translated into action? Okay. So is there, for you exactly, Ingrid, specifically because you brought up the example, what would it take to get you to an 8? Is there anything you can think of that is currently a barrier that you need to push past, which is kind of what you're getting at?
my mental barrier that I'm not right. Yeah.
Right. Good.
I have to bargain.
So actually,
ice cream is here.
yeah, bread. I feel you, sister. I mean, bread to the salsa. So I appreciate what Ingrid said because she's starting to think, what are my barriers? And really, that's part of that's what we're digging deeper for. What is it that's stopping me from going from a 5 to an 8 or a 9? So by actually saying, I feel deprived, she identified a huge issue in her heart, in her mind. Maybe there's some comfort history with that. The other thing is, you said, I will feel deprived if I only eat bread Saturdays and Sundays. Maybe she needs to switch up her days or add an extra day. Or maybe she can change, like the change talk, where she's saying, I can be fulfilled and fully satisfied by sitting down and really enjoying and making a special moment out of that slice of bread on Saturday morning. I'm going to toast it. I'm going to have fresh avocado and maybe a little bit of goat cheese. I'm going to make that bread really enjoyable. And I'm just going to say, wow, what a treat. That was a delight. Okay, what's next? Let's go swimming for 3 hours. But you're incorporating lots of things that I think are really important. And again, it's not things we always think about, but if there's a negative comment surrounding that situation, A, you've identified a barrier. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Thank you for sharing that.
The way I see it, I don't eat dinner anymore, just lunch only. And when I'm really hungry, then I ask myself, how soon you want to take your final departure flight to heaven? And that, correct me right away, said, no departure flight. I stay here only. So
Very good. Oh man, this scale can also be used in the other direction too. So if trying to think of your name, remind me of your name. Keith, I was gonna say. Okay, so Keith, let's say he said that he was an 8 for his goal. He's very sure. And I asked him, why is it not a 3? And then kind of in the opposite direction, he has to think through, well, why am I so confident? Because the bread is packed away in the freezer, and that's one way that I can eliminate kind of a temptation. So I'm going to pack it away, or I'm only going to cut my Saturday and Sunday slices and put them in a Ziploc bag also in the freezer. So then on Saturday morning, I take out that one piece. I'm confident because I have access to the pool. I can drive there. I am free. I'm retired. I have 3 hours. And you start rehearsing and recalling all the reasons why you are in a really positive, confident place. So it can go either direction. I think the more important one, or one of the important aspects of this is if you assign a lower number, like 5 or lower, then you want to be asking yourself, what would make it a 7? If you go from 4 to a 7, a 5 to an 8, what would make it an 8? And by asking that question and just kind of going through it in your mind, you are likely to identify some sort of barriers. Like, what is it? What's that roadblock? And I have to get over this roadblock first. And then there's another boulder or some gravel or something I might slip on. I got to get past that danger zone and work forward. That was good. Thanks, Ingrid and Keith. So this is back to the explanation that SMART goals are very different from just a general goal, a general statement. So getting in shape is quite general, but actually going to the gym is becoming more specific, right? So if people say, I want to get exercise, I want to get in shape, I want to have better balance or more stamina, then what will it take to start moving in that direction? Going to the gym is a start. I would like to eat healthier, very general, but to say I'm going to increase my vegetable intake or my fresh fruit intake in lieu of pastry type desserts, that type of a thing. Measurable, that piece of constructing a SMART goal can answer some of the questions like how much bread, how many times a week, every day, how many hours, how will you track your progress, excuse me. So smartphones, some people, we love just pencil and paper. One of the questions on the quiz talks about tracking your progress. How else might you, maybe jot that down, or you create your own health journey journal, that type of a thing.
Spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet, I love it. Who else has an idea? How are you gonna document and track your success? How might you do it? Fitbit, excellent, thanks. I heard something out here, it wasn't apps, excellent. Somebody, any artists in the room, or, yes, sir.
Taking good weight every day morning.
Checking your weight, yeah. So getting on the scale before and after and during swimming, it sounds like. Some people who are a little more creative, maybe more visual, they have some sort of something on the refrigerator, and they're going to put colored stickers or, something fun to kind of track along with that. And just how will you know if you've been successful? One way, and we have the worksheet for you. Again, thank you to Lita's team and everybody who did all this background work. When you set your SMART goal and you fill in and answer all those questions, you can tuck that away. And of course, you only have one sheet. This is more of a template. But if you are keeping a journal or a notebook or something, you can say, hey, the goal for January, what was this week's Monday? 7th. So the goal for January 7th, or maybe you set your goals every Saturday. So on the, whatever this is, the 12th, this Saturday, and you actually write out what your goal is. Maybe it goes on the calendar. Maybe you refer back to that paper or wherever your notes are in your phone. And then each Saturday morning, maybe as you're sitting down having that piece of homemade bread and enjoying it, you're reviewing your goals. So going again from general to specific, getting in shape goes from the gym to the gym 3 times per week. Increasing fruit intake for eating healthier. And fruit intake might be 2 servings a day. What's an example of a fruit serving? The whole watermelon? Oh, half a banana. Thank you. That's a good one. Yes, sir. Size of a tennis ball. So maybe a small Fuji apple instead of the giant ones, or just a small navel orange or a small peach.
Eat fruits with less sugar, for example, like green banana as opposed to yellow banana. And don't eat a red delicious apple from Washington State. Eat apple grown in California, which are less sweet and more bitter, so they have more fiber in it.
And
So,
you're supporting local farmers. Right. Thank you. That's fun. And then achievable, when you're talking about, hey, is this achievable for me? What will I need to do to achieve this? What are some potential barriers? And that's part of what I was pointing out in the conversation a minute ago with the scale, and asking what would it take for me to get from a 5 of likelihood or confident level to an 8. What are those barriers to my success? And then modify it as needed. Are you both willing and able to work on this goal? That question reminds me of those guys on the stairway, right? They're working their way up the stairway. What's your readiness level? How willing are you to make some of the changes that it might take to reach your goal, or to even create a SMART goal and start acting on it? And again, just asking, how realistic is this? And do you believe that you can accomplish this goal? So that's an opportunity, yeah.
I noticed for myself, I get frustrated with my diabetes because I'm retired and I'm older. So when I was working in younger, my metabolism was better. But now that I've kind of slowed down and I'm getting older, my metabolism isn't as good as it used to be. And so all of the habits that I had of trying to eat good were successful for me. But then as I got older and slowed down, that same foods and diet are now like spiking. And so I do get a little upset about that. You just the heck with it. But one of the things I try to remind myself, and I'm not real successful at it, but I think that I'm glad I have diabetes because that actually, well, that's something you can do. If you have cancer, you know, you can't do anything about it. But diabetes, you can do something about it. But I just don't have sometimes that discipline and I get frustrated. But anyway.
Thank you for sharing. And also I heard, I'm glad that I have diabetes because
That's something I can do to take care of.
Because it's something there's something I can do about it.
Yeah.
Because it's a health issue that I can take action, upon which I can take action. Something. So, do you guys hear what I'm hearing? What? It's the positive, it's the change talk, right? And it's not like, you know, some psychotherapy, positive, negative, but you know what? Studies show it really, our words do affect us. They carry life or death. So as opposed to, this is hopeless, I'm done with this, I'm gonna do what I want. He's saying, hey, I'm actually thankful for this situation because it's something that I can take action on and as a result, get some results, get some change and maintain or improve my health.
It can be reversed. There's no excuse for me not.
That's, you know what, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So, timely or time-bound, when we answer the T from the SMART, the time has to do with what are some different elements of that piece of creating your statement. What do you think the time part might refer to? So I used an example of 1 week. What will you do in the coming week to be healthy? Does it have to be only a week? An example that came up earlier, the person testing their blood glucose, they were gonna do it when? In the morning, right? Right when they wake up, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, for the next 2 weeks. Put in your time frame. If it's difficult and it's not something you've done before or you're not used to it, maybe start with a week, see how it goes. Set something really simple and that will allow for success. And then also just thinking about how you're going to chart your progress. Actually, I wanted to go back to the time concept also. The timing might also have to do with creating a little bit more specific details around it. So for some people, they might say, I will walk for 15 minutes on my lunch hour at work, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'll do it before 1 p.m. So on the days that I have a meeting from 12 to 1, I'm going to try and get out for my morning break and walk at least 1 lap around the building to get my 15 minutes in. So time bound or timely might be smaller increments that have detail for that particular day. Day is also part of the time, and then the duration. You might think of it like frequency and duration. So I know we're really getting down to the nitty-gritty, right? Does this feel almost like too much? Because it kind of can feel a little bit like, this is so just down to the detail. But in the beginning, it can be helpful to really get down to the nitty-gritty and just detail out every aspect until you start getting in the rhythm. And then next Thursday night, when you review your goals and you start a new one, maybe that Friday or that Saturday morning, it's going to be more intuitive, more natural. You have your template. You're already thinking through answering those when, where, how, why questions. So again, we're going from general to specific. Go to the gym 3 times a week. I will send a follow-up on my progress to my workout partner, to Lida or Alejandro, to someone at my, a table buddy from these Thursday night meetings, or a neighbor, your walking partner. Create or build in some accountability for yourself. And then action strategies. Excuse me. is just thinking about what does a typical day or week look like to you, and based on the goal you want to start or set, how might that fit into your schedule? Do you see any barriers up front that you could kind of slash through, or maybe ways you need to change your schedule? How might your action steps fit into a typical day or week? Exploring barriers, we talked about that. I think it's important, and because if you can identify it, then you can start figuring out a way to get around that barrier. So what could be a barrier to someone's goal of walking 15, 30 minutes a day? What might be a barrier to that? Pardon? Rain, exactly. Thank you. That was exactly what I was looking for. Oh my gosh, it's raining. Oh, I guess I don't have to walk. Are you going to do that? No, we got to think to ourselves, wow, what's the weather forecast for the next week? Because I have a goal to meet. And if it's going to be raining on Thursday, I'm for sure getting out and walking Tuesday and Wednesday. Or I'm going to go to the mall with a bottle of water, get an umbrella, go outside. Yeah, go for it. Get some fresh air. Lots of people are walking to the mall. Bring a water bottle, maybe $2 in your pocket. Otherwise, leave your money in credit cards. It's not meant to cost anything, right? But you can do the indoor mall and get, gosh, a couple miles out of the deal. Pardon?
Clean house.
Clean house. Hey, you know what we say about activity and exercise? Anything off the couch counts. So, anything off the couch. And then this handout you have in front of you, it's just a couple little apps that you can find. And many of them are free, not all. I know that calorieking.com, which actually is not on here, is free, and it's a good for food search. You can do a food search on it. It's just one word, Calorie King, like kingandqueen.com. They have a food search box. If you're thinking about, maybe your goal is counting carbohydrates or assessing protein content in a food or a grain that you want to incorporate as part of your mixed nutrient meals. So check out the apps. And oops, we have the answer key to the quiz. So did anyone get through those quiz questions? Okay, so all of you that raised your hands, I for sure, if you got through them before we go over the answers. Okay, good. So we're going to go over the answers together, and if you completed it, you know who you are. And then let's check your score for all of those that raised their hands. So who wants to read the first one? Taking the stairs?
I do.
Okay. Go ahead.
Taking the stairs 5-story building 2 times a day will contribute to the equivalent of 5 pounds a year of weight loss.
Ding, 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 ding. Woo, that's true. That is so true. Okay. Who wants to read the next one? You and the best.
Lowering your blood pressure may increase your risk of stroke and heart disease by about 50%.
Yes. Yes. So who's in for that? I'm in for lowering the risk of stroke and heart disease. Who has number 3? Gentleman with the gray sleeves right there. Green? Yes, yeah. So the whole statement, water will flush out the toxins from your body and it gives fuel to your muscles while you lose weight. Excellent. Number 4.
I'll do number 4.
Okay, go for it.
Because I love cooking.
Yay!
By cooking your own meals at home, you can control portions and ingredients used.
Yes.
Excellent. Who's got number 5? Yes, in the back.
Physical activity improves sleep quality.
Yes.
Woohoo! Swimmer, 3 hours a day swimmer. How are you sleeping?
Huh?
How are you sleeping at night?
Oh, I sleep too many hours. In fact, I like to go sun bath every day, like 12 to 2.
That helps too.
And if I can't I sleep, take sun bath and sleep at the same time. And if the sun is not shining, then I go to gym and do exercise.
Falling asleep in the sun bath is a safe place to fall asleep. Don't fall asleep in the regular bath. Or the pool. Keep moving, keep swimming. Okay, who's got number 6? Yes, sir.
For some people, French fries are the most vegetable they eat. They have 25% of vegetable
Yes. There's a lot of people when they're asked the question, what vegetables do you eat? They put French fries. Yeah. Potato, because potato is considered a vegetable, and it is. It's a starchy vegetable, but wow, just like those colorful guys climbing up the stairs, you can tell I like color, right? Like bring on the colors. There's too much white in the potato. Okay, who's got the next one? Yes, sir.
People who cook at home up to 5 times a week are 47% more likely to be alive after 10 years.
That sounds kind of odd to put it that way, but there's just a lot of benefits to cooking at home. And, okay, who has the next one? Yes, sir.
Number 8, you can track your progress in a journal.
Yes, I alluded to that earlier, exactly. And that journal or notebook might be on your smartphone, right? It could be on a device. Who's got the next one? Yes, sir.
Cooking at home saves time.
Yes, that is true. And the last one? Go ahead.
Hospital used to be in the United States is 147 million.
Wow. So, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to do something like this just to, again, it's giving us ideas because we're just about at time. What I would like to do, 2 things, is for you to take your template, your worksheet. You can either write on this or maybe jot down on the back answering those questions. And let's construct a SMART goal and maybe share it with your neighbor. We'll take about 4 or 5 minutes to do that. If there's time for that, Dana? Okay, maybe just 5 minutes, but quickly, of the people who initially raised their hands that completed their quiz, how many people got 10?
I did.
Good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, you guys are way smarter. Okay, Lita, I'm gonna have to send some more prizes. Okay. We had 10. Who wants their prize tonight? Who wants to be on that? Okay. 1 water bottle. Measuring cups.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have some pill boxes, like for daily. I have a couple of those. You want one of those? Okay. I'm gonna make this fun. Who else wants a water bottle? Okay. And how about another pill box? All right. Can you catch this and pass it behind you? Okay. Who wants you want this? You want these? Okay. Let me get back to you with some measuring tests.
I'm fine. You can give my tip.
Who else wants a pill box? Okay, and you raised your hand, right? You're a winner. All right,
Oh,
do you
no,
want the
actually,
bag?
I did not raise my hand.
Okay, thank you though.
I can take the bag.
Okay, so you got the bag. You want a pill box? Okay. And then those, can I borrow your note? Those who also raised their hand and won the 10, can we, if you guys all have your own pens, who raised your hand, you got 10 right and you need a prize? If you put your name on it, we'll send some back over. Okay. Okay, good job, you guys. So let's do a quick 2 or 3 minutes on filling out your SMART goal. And at the end of 2 minutes, I would love a volunteer to read your SMART goal. Okay,
Oh, you. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna-
Okay. Yeah,
And then we'll send yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it was all. Thank you. Yeah.
Full time too. This is smart.
No, when you go to this group,
Does anyone like share their All right, we have someone to share their SMART goals, so let's listen up and encourage them.
Since I go to the gym, I'm gonna continue going to the gym, increase my days from 3 to 4, and I go to 24-hour, and instead of spending 1 hour, I would increase it to another additional 1 hour. So that's my goal. And what else? How long? Let's see. So my goal is set for 8, which I like to meet my 8 or up.
Okay. Oh, your confidence level.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Why is it an 8 and not a 4?
Because I started it at 3 and every month is going up. So I want to reach 10. But right now I'm trying hard. So it's kind of like a little health issue. So I kind of like going slowly, but my aim is to reach 10.
Excellent. And she might even say, what makes it an 8 instead of a 4 is that I have a gym membership. I have every reason to go. I can go. I have a car. I can get there. I have time.
Yeah, sometimes I'm at work and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go. And I go in my car and I'm like, no, I have to go and change and go to the gym. Yeah, so I motivate myself.
So I'm just going to end with this last one. I will check my blood sugar when I awaken and 2 hours after dinner at home, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the next 2 weeks, for the coming 2 weeks, in order to track my sugar control. How does that sound to you guys? Okay, wait. He has a confidence level of an 8. Yeah, why not a 5? And will we make it a 10? All right, these guys are a good team. Thank you so much, everyone.